Good morning, I'm Anjali Istwal. Welcome to our special show, FII. This is a show where we discuss issues that matter to you. India is reopening its entertainment sector with the restarting of the movie theatres with 50% capacity from 15th of October. America has already attempted it and had launched Cinema Safe, a set of voluntary health and safety protocols for exhibitors in COVID-19 pandemic era. We do not have any such guidelines, but there are some generic safety protocols that cinema owners will have to follow. So the big questions that we are asking are, is it safe to open cinema halls? Are viewers willing to go to the theatres? Is it even profitable for the theatre owners to open right now? Well, this is a question that we are asking, and there will be some special guests who will be joining us in this entire issue. But before that, what do those associated with the film fraternity think about this? Opening of the cinema halls? What do they think about it? Especially some stakeholders like Arijit Datta, who is an actor and owner of one of Kolkata's favorite and oldest single screens called Priya, and a multiplex also called Bioscope. Datta was also a key actor in Shujit Sarkar's Madras Cafe. Listen to what he has to say.
Arijit Datta owns a single-screen cinema in Kolkata as well as a chain of multiplexes. Do you have an opening date?
Not yet, actually, because after so many months of closure, we'll have to check all the equipments, we have to check, do the deep cleaning, sanitization. We've started the process, but it's a slow process because at least where the single screens are concerned, it's a full building by itself. Multiplexes would be easier to do it, but still, the equipments need to be done. We hope it could be done by the 16th, that is before Pujo. So there may be a serious mismatch between revenue and outflow. So that's something which a lot of cinema owners will have to take a decision actually when they will open. But again, the danger is there is the ones which don't open immediately within the first few weeks of this 16th may never open. And especially single screens, because they were very economically ill-placed already from before.
Difference between income and revenue is the biggest problem. Which is more challenging, the single screen or the chains?
The multiplex, probably the expenses would be more, or let's say they've had larger losses and they may have a larger loss if it opens without footfalls. But as I said, the single screens are individuals. How deep they can put their hands in their pocket, which they already have been biting into over the last few months, that's what's going to count. The theatres, the single screens open today is mainly because of the passion of the owner. Otherwise, that property could have done something much more and got much more out of it, even in the form of rentals. But their passion has made them run the cinema till today in spite of all the trouble. So let's see how deep passions run.
Bioscope, the chain has 1,000 seats. What about your single screen Priya?
Priya has around 800 seats. Even if 400 people enter this auditorium, more than happy for the time being.
Will that mean a hike in cost of tickets?
No, I don't think there'll be a hike in cost of tickets. Probably to get the people into the habit of coming back, we may readjust the ticket prices lower.
Oh, so good news for people waiting to come back to the movie halls. Ticket prices may actually be a little lower than they were to lure you back to the silver screen. With GD Shankar, Monideepa Banerjee, NDTV.
Well, that's Kolkata. Now let's go to Bengaluru. We also spoke to the movie-goers to find out if they are willing to step into a movie theatre. Listen to what some cinegoers from Bengaluru and Guwahati have to say.
No, it's not at all safe because the people are already in a danger. In pan-India, we are not in getting down in a COVID or else whatever that virus we are spreading already. India is nearby almost beating in a US country. So we cannot take risks like a Donald Trump that whatever happens, we are economy, we are very rich. But we can't get into the people into the dying mode. For India, the peoples are important than the cinema halls, than other things. If we are alive, then India can develop in any manner in next 5 years.
Sir, cinema theatres will be opening. How safe? What to say about that?
See, cinema theatres opening is, as of now, it is not good. Why? Because still COVID is around here only. Better they should defer for some more time. till the time at least the vaccine is out and people are a bit safe. Because when the cinema opens, everybody rushes into cinema halls, and again this may crop up again.
It's not safe, sir, because see, they won't maintain social distance, and after the interval, definitely they'll gather into the theatre. So all those problems are there. So it's not safe, as per my knowledge.
It's a great news that the cinema hall industry is finally going to be operational. It was a long wait, and thanks to the government, we need to adapt to the new changes, and this industry was badly needed to be adapting to the new changes. It's a new normal, and there will be changes. For me, the experience of watching movie in this era compared to the pre-COVID era will be completely different, and there's a model plan by the government, and if it gets rightly implemented, I think there is no problem with the safety issue. However, as a movie buff, we need to make sure that we are adhering whatever is being told to us.
So some mixed reactions over there from cinegoers, but what do the people who own cinema halls think? We have from Nagpur, Akshay Rathi joining us. He's director of Ashirwad Theatres, and also from Mumbai with us is Manoj K. Agarwal. He's CEO of Vivana Mall, which has a multiplex inside. I'll begin with you, Mr. Rathi. Is it even worthwhile opening up the theatres right now for you? I mean, 50% capacity, the money you will be raking in will be lower, and you will have to spend more on the safety protocols.
Right. Well, see, it's been 7 months of the sector being shut down, and the income levels have been zero since then. On the other hand, the expenses haven't stopped. So whether it's the minimum demand charges for electricity, whether it's the salaries for the people that we've, and we take a lot of pride in the fact that we've retained all our employees from the pre-pandemic times, whether it's the maintenance expenses. So those have been incurred through these last 7 months. And now I think more than anything else, while I did hear the opinions of some of the moviegoers, and a lot of them believe that cinemas shouldn't be opened and maybe it's not safe. What I'd like to point out is that 13th March, when the cinemas shut down, the number of affected cases in India were somewhere to the tune of 300 or 350. And between then to now, we're a little over 60 lakhs. So even with cinemas shut, the cases have risen like, and spread like wildfire. So I don't think keeping any enterprise shut and letting the livelihood of people, go under the guillotine is the solution.
Okay.
The solution is to deploy the right safety measures, the right sanitization measures. We have a very elaborate and good set of SOPs that we've received from the INB ministry. So those will be deployed. And I think for the safety of people, it's going to be a partnership between us, where we'll deploy all these measures, and the moviegoers who need to be responsible and follow the right protocols. If that can happen, I can assure you, whether it's a vegetable vendor's shop, a grocery store, a restaurant, or a cinema hall, people are going to be safe. It's just about deploying the measures and people following protocols. If that happens, I'm sure we'll be good. And about the economics of it, yes, 50% is a start. And we're hopeful that over the next few weeks, as bigger new movies start coming, the capacities will increase and the feasibility will come in too. Right now, for a month, we are very clear we aren't looking at revenues. We are looking at investing our time, money and effort in rebuilding the habit of movie going among our patrons and making sure that they start feeling safe when they come to the cinema halls.
Right. Basically lure the people back into your halls. Okay. Understandable. Till now, there has been no study that traced back any outbreak to a cinema hall. We've seen US operating cinema halls. But Mr. Agarwal,
Absolutely.
How will opening of theatres impact the other businesses which get indirectly associated with it in a mall like yours?
Okay, so we have actually a very large theatre, Cinepolis, with us, which is a 14-screen, almost 2,300 seats. So it's a very key player for us in our mall business. And in the past, when the multiplex had just started, the moment it started, the fortunes of the mall started changing. So I think it's a very vital contributor into a mall space. And it will also drive in people, increase business for all players, including retail stores, as well as the restaurants, etc., which have now been allowed to start in Maharashtra. I feel that, as my fellow panelists said, that you see, economics is one part, and the safety and the hygiene aspect is second, and third is the maybe the overall impact on the people as well as the customers who visit. So if you see on the safety and security and hygiene part, the Shopping Center Association of India, of which I'm the head of the Western chapter, has already rolled out very detailed SOPs for the malls, which we have started practicing once we started in September. So I don't think that that is an issue. And with people wearing masks, sanitizing their hands, and also having the SOPs which has recently been released, and Multiplex Association anyway is a part of the Shopping Center Association. So I think there's a commonality of purpose there. So I think that will work out very well, and it will be a good contributor and will increase the offering to all customers. And as my fellow panelists also said, that I don't think that with all the measures in place, it is in any form going to increase the spread, because these measures are taken with a lot of thought by the government as well as the various associations, which is Shopping Center and Multiplex Associations. So
Absolutely.
they should be positive about all this.
Right.
Yes.
Also joining us now is Devang Sampath. He's the CEO of Cinepolis India. Thank you, Mr. Sampath, for joining in. We've been having this conversation, of course, whether it is worthwhile or not for the cinema hall owners to reopen or not. Now, there are many big movies that were slated to release, but they have deferred their release. So if you don't have any new movies coming in, 50% capacity, is this going to impact the cost of the ticket for the people, or are you going to take the setback yourself?
So, first, we're first thankful to the government for letting us open. I mean, the cinemas have been shut for 7 months, and at least now with the economy opening up, we are allowed to open. And the way things are going globally, especially, Cinepolis is operational in 18 countries, and we have gained a good experience about the SOPs and how, the model of operation should be for going forward. So 2 points specifically I want to highlight is 50% is a great capacity. Leaving alternate seat actually does not harm business that much, looking at the current condition. Of course, when we have more seats are always better, but still Indian condition, looking at specifically Indian condition, we see that 50% is going to be a great capacity for not only exhibitor, but even for producer to start with. Okay. We've been in touch, and let's look at a specific number. Globally, in other countries, we've been releasing on an average about 300 titles to 350 titles every year. Okay. But in India, since last 5 years, year on year, we have been releasing about 1200 titles. So 1200 titles are getting released in multiplex every year in India. Now, yes, there are a couple of bigger projects. Since the announcement of Bombay and Delhi was not there till yesterday, now Delhi has also announced that the cinemas can open from 15th. If I look at only Cinepolis data, we'll be able to operate 75% of our screen. Now, this specifically will change a lot of math. Maharashtra government is actively thinking about it. We've made a couple of representation. The good part is after this lockdown and the reopening till now, where world cinema has opened, there is not a single case which has come across where the virus is spreading through cinemas. There are almost 18 weeks since when the cinemas are operational and not a single case. So once Maharashtra opens up, this movie releasing, maybe in Diwali we'll see the big releases coming back soon to track. Okay. But we see there are 80 titles ready to come into multiplex to start their operation. Okay. To start the release, and yeah, definitely the last question for your is customer will not be impacted with the pricing. Well, it's us who will be taking care of the pricing. Probably that is something
that the customers would be most interested in. So 80 titles is a good number. I'll give you 1 minute each because I'm short on time. Beginning with you, Mr. Rathi. I understand there are employees also to take care of. How will you ensure their security and safety? 1 minute, sir.
Sure. Well, I think the INB ministry has issued very elaborate SOPs which also speak about, the measures that need to be deployed to take care of the safety of the employees. So the cleaning staff, of course, will go in with PPE kits. The staff that is going to interact with the customers is going to be protected with everything from masks to face shields, gloves, and a whole lot of other things. The points of physical contact that they have, which could be anything like, giving the tickets, So those are becoming contactless, and we are going for paperless ticketing. So all these measures are being taken. There is going to be a very detailed way of social distancing that's going to be followed. And what I can tell you is, compared to the streets or compared to smaller grocery stores and vegetable vendors and a whole lot of other things that have been open for a while, cinemas, and especially with just about 50% capacity, is an environment that can be controlled in a very, very hands-on way.
Okay, so you feel you might be more capable of making it more safer. Mr. Agarwal?
Absolutely.
Would we be looking at means and ways of drawing the customer in? Can we look at now sales and some discounts now happening?
Oh, absolutely. So initially, the movie-going experience is going to become cheaper.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Rathi. I'm sorry. This was for Mr. Agarwal.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
No problem. So, you see, what happens is that Maharashtra, and particularly in Thane, where Mall Viviana is, we started on 2nd of September. That's as per the government notification. So we started off with some kind of discounts and offers, and we had conducted a detailed survey as well before we started, and customers welcomed all these offers, and that's why our bounce back was very, very quick on this. And our footfalls are growing day on day now with the F&B coming in, and multiplex hope to come in November. So, it will really impact everything in a positive way. So it should be very good for us. And with pricing of tickets being a little lower than normal, I think it will also incentivize customers to be able to visit cinemas.
That's nice to hear. Mr. Sampath, I'm going to ask you something that I'm also wondering about. Is the popcorn going to be safe to eat?
Absolutely. I mean, first and foremost for us and for all the retailers, for exhibitors, is safety of our own customer. We call them internal customer. All our employees are being well trained. We've used this time over for last 3 months to train them on new normal. Even popcorn what you're going to get served now, you can order them digitally. That popcorn, you don't have to wait and stand in the queue. The frontliners, the Cinepolite are well trained to serve you when your order is ready once you have digitally ordered. So we are taking a lot of measures, and for sure popcorn and cola that we are waiting for to get into a big screen and experiences is not going to get compromised at all.
Okay, that's great. I can almost smell the butter on the popcorn and almost taste the salt also. Thank you very much for joining in. We hope the sector picks up from here, because the government has now opened it, and if cinegoers are willing, then let's hope this works for all. We're going to take a short break now. When we come back, we get your doctor's advice on how to go out if you actually want to go and watch a movie in a theatre. Welcome back. This is FYI, where we talk about the issues that matter to you, and the issue that we are discussing today, that is it safe to open cinema halls, and is it worthwhile for the cinema owners? We've already discussed that, but now let's talk about how to have a safe outing. For that, Dr. Vivek Nangia joins us. He's Principal Director and Head Respiratory Critical Care Medicine from Max Hospital, Saket. Thank you very much, Dr. Nangia. First question that I'm going to ask you is, what would be your advice? Would you advise people to stay at home even now, or would you say, okay, take the precautions and go out if you want?
See, we have to understand one thing very carefully, that Corona is here to stay. It's not going away anywhere in the near future. We have to be prepared for it. At the same time, we can't also stay locked down in the house 24/7. I'm sure the fatigue is also setting in. So while I'm saying that, one could start moving out, but then again, we can't be complacent at all. We have to ensure that we're still following all possible precautions. And the 3 most important precautions that we have to follow at all times is wearing a mask, maintaining a social distance, and maintaining a hand hygiene. Not touching unnecessary stuff. At the same time, I would still want to reiterate that move out only if it is essential and not otherwise.
Right, Doctor, if you are at the movie theatre, you followed all those protocols that you've just suggested, but there is also this thing about eating popcorn and having a cold drink. You'll remove your mask for that. So what would you suggest?
So again, for those kind of things, we have to be sure that there's adequate distance maintained between people. I would prefer the single theatre over a multiplex theatre, because single theatres have air conditioning is not common with other theatres. So it's only confined to those 50-60 people who are there in that particular area at that time. But multiplex would be having common air conditioning, so from one to the other, it could actually be circulating very easily. Second thing is that even inside the cinema halls, we have to be maintaining adequate distance. It can't be overcrowded. There, even while entering and while exit, you see that is a time when people really overcrowd each other. There's always a rush to come out of the cinema halls. So that has to be very, very slow and very, very cautiously done. Yeah. Then I would suggest that the intervals that we have between the movies, that should also be slightly prolonged so that the loo break that you get, there is not queuing up in the toilets there, or there are adequate toilets available. Even at the counters where popcorns and cold drinks and everything are sold, there should be more number of counters that are available so that there is less queuing up and less crowding at any place.
Right.
And as far as possible, avoid eating, because that is the time when you'll be taking off your masks and you'll be more susceptible to catching infections if they're around. So just be careful with all those things.
Right. Doctor, also, how about reducing the time that a person spends inside the theatre? Because instead of the 3 hours, if we remove the intermission, if we cut out the ads, and if we only stick to the film, then a person can actually come out within 2 to 2.5 hours.
Yeah, actually, if that is possible, then that will be a brilliant idea. One thing I forgot to mention was that it's also important to book your tickets online rather than going and standing in the queues there. So again, you're reducing your hours. Of course, the overall movie experience is going to be totally threatened and challenged. But I guess that's how we'll have to start living now, keeping the corona in mind.
Right. Thank you very much, Doctor, for joining in this conversation. And of course, these are some advice that our doctor is giving you if you are planning to step out. Do be careful, because 3 hours inside an air-conditioned theatre is not a very good idea if you're going to eat also and drink also. So be safe if you do step out. That's all we have for you in this bulletin. Time for a short break now.